Excuse me, are you Adam Graham?
The very same. And this is my old-time radio snack wagon.
Welcome to the old-time radio snack wagon, where we serve up a bite-sized portion of old-time radio. And now, here's your snack wagon host, Adam Graham.
Today, we're standing at attention for today's snack as we're serving up a report from the Army Hour. Now, this should not be confused with the original series that began during World War II with collaboration between NBC, the War Department, and the U.S. Army. It brought battlefield stories and action to listeners on the home front for 3.5 years before going off the air in 1945. This is the revived series that was begun by the Armed Forces Radio Service in 1953 and was syndicated domestically by NBC and later Mutual. During its decade on the air, the series had a flexible format with many interesting segments, and it managed to paint an interesting portrait of life in the Army. But this series wasn't all battlefields and war. American forces were deployed in many places where there was no active fighting or hostile action, although in many cases there certainly had been, which created a great opportunity for those who were deployed overseas. Here now is a report from the Army Hour from Korea from either the late 1950s or early 1960s.
Stand by, Incheon, Korea. Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness. Some 1900 years ago, Seneca, the Roman philosopher, wrote those words. And today, in Korea, American soldiers practice them. The human beings in this case are the ill-fed and ill-clothed little orphans in Korea. And the kindness shown is by many American soldiers who spend their free time working in orphanages and giving love and affection to children who are alone in the world. For that story and the story of a beloved nun, we switch to Korea and our Army Hour reporter. Come in, Sergeant Conrad Doherty, in Incheon.
In Korea today, the American soldier is doing an outstanding service in his aid to the Korean orphans. This aid is not to be confused with funds contributed by the American government, but are donations which totaled more than $62,000 given to more than 107 orphanages during the year 1957. These donations were made at all levels, from company to army, in addition to the amounts received during church services conducted by all faiths. The soldier in Korea has not only contributed financial aid to the orphans here, but there are more than 500 currently giving their spare time and talents to the children. These soldiers, in their spare time, instruct the children in sports, craftsmanship, and the meaning of democracy. Such a soldier is Master Sergeant Eldred M. Egan of Valley City, North Dakota. Sergeant Egan is attached to Headquarters Special Troops, 8th United States Army.
Sergeant Egan, how did you first become interested in the orphanages here in Korea?
I would say the first element that motivated my interest in the orphanages was seeing the children in the streets that were ragged and hungry, and even more so, visiting the orphanages to see the need for clothing and the food and the medical care that's needed, and above all, the real love and affection for the children.
How often do you get to visit the orphanage?
I try to visit an orphanage either Saturday or Sunday of each week. And, of course, whenever there's any special occasions on holidays or in the evening on some occasion.
Do the children have an opportunity to get away from the orphanage for a few hours?
Oh, yes. Children may be taken out of the orphanage after you've visited an orphanage a few times and proven your character and your affection for the children. They could come out.
Is the language barrier very difficult between you and a Korean youngster?
No, I'd say there is very little, because between sign language and your expressions and their desire for things, it's overcome naturally.
What will be your reaction when you have to go back to the States and leave the children behind?
Well, I'll miss the children very much in my different phases of activity with the orphanages.
Thank you very much, Master Sergeant Eldred Egan.
The actual operation of the orphanages here in Korea is supervised by Korean nationals and missionaries of all denominations. Sister Philomena St. Paul de Chartres order, is supervisor of 39 nuns here at the Star of the Sea Orphanage in Incheon. Sister Philomena was in Korea during the Japanese occupation and at the time of the communist invasion from North Korea.
Sister Philomena, how long have you been here at the Star of the Sea Orphanage?
I'm here now 23 years in Incheon, the Star of the Sea.
Have you received any type of aid from the Americans here in the Incheon area?
Oh, yes, I consider that we couldn't carry on if we hadn't the GIs around for to help us out. The KE, Korean Exchange, they sort of sponsor my orphanage.
I understand also that the various churches around here, the American churches, take up collections for your particular orphanage.
Well, yes, each section, I suppose the chaplain of that district, we have the port chaplain here, he helps us. The chaplain from another district, he helps another orphanage. There's always one chaplain to each orphanage almost.
Are there many soldiers in this area that spend any of their spare time down here?
Oh, yes, the boys love to come. Well, the other night they came and they painted some radiators for us. But with the children all on their back, they don't get doing very much. I have to do the MP to try to keep the kids away.
When did you last have an opportunity to visit the United States?
I visited the States in 1956. I had just 22 days there. I had 5 babies here in the orphan. The sponsors were very anxious to have them for Christmas. So we couldn't get anybody to take them because no one wanted to go just so late in the year to the States and to be back for Christmas. So I offered to take the babies. So I took 5. I left one at Seattle and 2 at Minneapolis, 1 at Chicago, and took 1 to New York. There my people met me and I went back to New Jersey and had a good 20 days home. So everybody was happy to have their babies for Christmas. But poor me, I had to get back here, arriving here Christmas Eve. But the GIs were so nice, they had the whole trees up and the place decorated and all for me when I came back.
Thank you very much, Sister Philomena of the Star of the Sea Orphanage in Incheon, Korea. This has been Sergeant Conrad Doherty of the Information Section, 8th United States Army.
Welcome back. A really beautiful vignette. It highlights the way that American troops overseas were able to cooperate in non-compulsory ways to really make an impact for orphans in South Korea. This was hardly an isolated incident. On many AFRS versions of longer form old-time radio programs, you'll hear commercials highlighting the great work of servicemen overseas. So many servicemen who just trying to be decent people and help others in need enhance the reputation of both the Army and their nation. It's time for me to close up the old snack wagon, but don't worry, we'll be back with another serving of old-time radio goodness before you know it. If you want to enjoy some of our longer form podcasts, you can feast away at my website at greatdetectives.net. Your emails are also welcome at adam@snackwagon.net.
The Old Time Radio Snack Wagon comes to you from Boise, Idaho. Your host is Adam Graham. Sound production is by Rhines Media, LLC. You can listen to past episodes of the Old Time Radio Snack Wagon as well as connect on social media at our website at snackwagon.net. Email suggestions for episodes to adam@snackwagon.net. This has been the Old Time Radio Snack Wagon.
Until next time, goodbye.